again, if you see that mostly they are related to the enforcement and upholding and research with respect to human rights. That's it. But if a question is asked, there is a great possibility that the question will be asked more with respect to its composition. तो याद रखना कि composition कैसे है, who are appointed, how the salaries are charged, and all of that, and what is the eligibility criteria. The National Human Rights Commission is a statutory body. So let's have a look at this. The National Human Rights Commission is a statutory body. It was established in 1993 under the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. The Commission is a watchdog. Now, what do we mean by watchdog? One who always keep a vigilant eye of human rights in the country, that is the rights relating to life, liberty, equality and dignity of the individual guaranteed by the Constitution or embodied in the international covenants and enforceable by courts in India, like the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights or the Human Rights Charter as it's popularly known. The specific objectives of the establishment of the Commission are why we want to uphold human rights, because if the human rights are distorted, then what is left of your dignity? You are worthless once your rights, the basic human rights which are endowed to you by your creator, by the very fact that you are a human, you enjoy those rights. If they are distorted, then definitely you know that there is now a kind of shallowness looming around your existence. To strengthen, what is the purpose? To strengthen the institutional arrangements through which human rights issues could be addressed in their entirety in a more focused manner. To look into the allegation of excesses independently of the government in a manner that would underlie the government's commitment to protect human rights, and to complement and strengthen the efforts that have been already made in this direction. So, there are three specific objectives. The objectives are, first one is to strengthen the institutions that enforce the human rights. Second, to look into the allegations and at times independently from the government, ministries or departments, but enforcing the promise of the government. And third, to complement all the other existing institutional frameworks and efforts that are already in existence that try to uphold the basic human rights. Now let's have a look at the composition of the National Human Rights Commission. The Commission is a multi-member body consisting of a chairperson and 5 members. Keep that in mind. The chairperson should be a retired Chief Justice of India or a judge of the Supreme Court, and members should be a serving or a retired judge of the Supreme Court, a serving or retired Chief Justice of a High Court, and 3 persons out of which at least one should be a woman having knowledge or practical experience with respect to human rights. So what is the composition? The composition is a chairperson and 5 members. Now what are the 5? Who are the 5 members? The chairperson should be a retired Chief Justice of India or a judge of the Supreme Court, and members should be serving or retired. So you can have serving or retired judge of the Supreme Court, a serving or retired Chief Justice of a High Court is the second member, and 3 persons. You have 5 more members, so these are the 2, and 3 persons who have some special experience, special knowledge or practical experience with respect to human rights. And out of those 3, at least one should be woman, so that gender related human rights could be better appreciated by the Commission. In addition to these full-time members, the Commission also have 7 ex officio members: the chairperson of the National Commission for Minorities, the National Commission for SCs, the National Commission for STs, the National Commission for Women, the National Commission for Backward Classes, and the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, and the Chief Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities. So they also become ex officio members in the National Human Rights Commission. The chairperson and the members are appointed by the President on the recommendation of a 6-member committee. Now this is important, consisting of the Prime Minister at its head, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, the Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, the leaders of the opposition in both the houses of the Parliament, and the Central Home Minister. The chairperson and the members hold office for a term of 3 years or until they attain the age of 70 years. Why 70 years? क्योंकि chairperson को हमने पहले ही बोल दिया should be a retired. So retired, you can understand 65 years पे retirement है. Supreme Court mein, whichever is earlier. They are eligible for reappointment. So there is no bar on reappointment. After their tenure, the chairperson and the members are not eligible for further employment under the central or the state government. The president can remove the chairpersons or any member from the office under the following circumstances. When the disqualification can happen: if he is adjudged an insolvent, or if he engages during his term of office in any paid employment outside the duties of his office, or if he is unfit to continue in office by reason of infirmity of mind or body, if he is of unsound mind and stands so declared by a competent court, or if he is convicted and sentenced to imprisonment for an offense. Then obviously you can understand, then you start doubting that person's credentials as an upholder of human rights. In addition to these, the president can also remove the chairperson or any of the member on the ground of proved misbehavior or incapacity. However, in these cases, the president has to refer the matter to the Supreme Court for an inquiry. If the Supreme Court, after the inquiry, upholds the cause of the removal and advises so, then the president can remove the chairperson or a member. Very much similar to how the removal used to happen with respect to the UPSC members and chairman. The salaries, allowances and other conditions of services of the chairperson or members of are determined by the central government, but they cannot be varied to the disadvantage after appointment. Means they cannot be diminished. Let's have a look at the functions of the NHRC. To inquire into any violation of human rights or negligence in the prevention of such violation by a public servant, either suo motu or on a petition presented to it, or on an order of a court. So suo motu also it can do on the basis of an application or by a court order. To intervene in any proceeding involving allegation of violation of human rights pending before a court. To visit jails and detention places to study the living conditions of inmates and make recommendations thereon. Sometimes you would see that under trials are also maltreated. So NHRC does become critical as a watchdog and also as a kind of check on the jail authorities. To review the constitutional and other legal safeguards for the protection of human rights and recommended measures for their effective implementation. To review the factors including acts of terrorism that inhibit the enjoyment of human rights and recommend remedial measures. To study treaties and other international instruments on human rights and make recommendations for their effective implementation. To undertake and promote research in the field of human rights. To spread human rights literacy among the people and promote awareness of the safeguards available for the protection of these rights. To encourage the efforts of non-governmental organizations working in the field of human rights. To undertake such other functions as it may consider necessary for the promotion of human rights. Again, if you see that mostly they are related to the enforcement and upholding and research with respect to human rights. That's it. But if a question is asked, there is a great possibility that the question will be asked more with respect to its composition. तो याद रखना कि composition कैसे है, who are appointed, how the salaries are charged, and all of that, and what is the eligibility criteria, and what is the age limit, like 70 years and all of that. Working of the National Human Rights Commission. The Commission's headquarters is at Delhi, and it can also establish offices at other places in India. It is vested with the power to regulate its own procedure. It has all the powers of a civil court, very much similar to the National Commission for the Scheduled Caste, National Commission for the Scheduled Tribes, and the Backward Classes Commission, or the National Commission for Backward Classes. Now, all of them have the power of a civil court. ये बस याद रखना civil court ही होते हैं, and its proceedings have a judicial character. It may call for information or report from central and state governments or any other authority subordinate thereto. The Commission has its own nucleus of investigating staff for investigation into complaints of human rights violation. Besides, it is empowered to utilize the services of any officer or investigation agency of central government or any state government for the purpose. It means it can investigate the charges itself or can cause the charges to be investigated with the help of the personnel of the center or the states, as the case might be. It has also established effective cooperation with the NGOs with first-hand information about human rights violation. Many NGOs, like you might have heard about the Bachpan Bachao Andolan and all of that, they do work very closely with the NHRC. The Commission is not empowered to inquire into any matter after the expiry of 1 year from the date on which the act consulting violation of human rights is alleged to have been committed. In other words, it can look into matter with 1 year, within 1 year of its occurrence. Now, this kind of creates a controversy, but anyhow, this is done mostly due to so that the Commission is not overburdened with backlog and the present human rights violation are overlooked. That should not happen. That is why this has been created, though at times it has been attacked by few people saying that it defeats the very purpose of the Commission. Exception in this can be a mid-course correction, you can understand. The Commission may take any of the following steps during or upon the completion of an inquiry. It may recommend to the concerned government or authority to make payment of compensation or damages to the victim. It may recommend to the concerned government or authority the initiation of proceedings for prosecution or any other action against the guilty public servant. It may recommend to any concerned government or authority for the grant of immediate interim relief to the victim. It may approach the Supreme Court or the High Court concerned for the necessary directions, orders or writs. Suppose if it's a habeas corpus kind of case, so it will just ask for habeas corpus ad subjudiendum and will enforce the rights thereupon.